I've been looking at the old weather forecast and I'm afraid it looks like rain from now until Saturday, pretty much. I can see a reasonably high cloud ceiling outside the windows here at Talk Towers, but let's talk to Simon Calder, our man with his finger on the pulse of the travelling nation. He's travel correspondent, of course, for The Independent. He looks like he's at another station. Where are you, Simon? Very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike. Good morning, everybody. I'm at London King's Cross, where there was great jubilation at 5:48 this morning because it was the very first train to go to Scotland from here since Thursday. That
Really?
shows you how bad things have been. Everything wiped out on Friday, of course, for Storm Eowyn. And then we had rail engineering works over the weekend. And so that knocked everything out. There's more this coming week. So if you really want to travel between London, King's Cross and Edinburgh, then it's a really good thing to do that before by Friday. Over on the West Coast main line, London to northwest England and southern Scotland, that had massive problems, although they started running trains last night, having said that they wouldn't be able to. In Scotland itself, well, quite a lot of trains are running, which is a good thing. But now we're kind of getting disruption from Storm Eowyn, if I may. We've got flooding between Reading and Taunton, fallen trees south of Guildford. And, well, we've got a bit of kind of disruption as usual. So there's cancellations to and from here due to more than normal numbers of trains needing repairs at the same time, and our old friend, the electricity supply failure in the Blackheath area of southeast London.
Blimey.
So once again, I'm afraid things are not as easy as they might be.
Well, I once did travel to Edinburgh from King's Cross last November. I think I probably told you the story of how delayed it got on the way back. So I don't think I'm going to bother anymore the next time. I think I'll just take the plane. Were there flights interrupted as well? Because it was quite heavy winds up in northern Scotland, well, in northern England and Scotland and Northern Ireland, right?
All right, Friday was just awful. More than 1,000 flights cancelled in the UK and Ireland, many of them at Edinburgh, Glasgow, Aberdeen, also Belfast International and Belfast City. And we had some spectacular delays as well. So, for example, 15 hours on Jet2 flights to and from Malaga and Rome. Wow. But that was better than the alternative, which was cancelling them. We also had some really spectacular diversions. Planes trying to get in, for instance, to Edinburgh Airport. One of them from Stansted took off, flew to Edinburgh, couldn't land, circled around a bit, and then headed off for Cologne, which technically is in Germany, I think you'll find.
I think it is.
Right, and I'm only going on what I've learnt from a flight tracking service. They got halfway to Cologne over the North Sea, and they obviously made another call to Stansted, who said, all right, we will find room for you, and they managed to land back there. Otherwise, it would have been very exciting for all those people who hadn't got their passports, which you don't need, of course, for domestic flights. But today, I'm afraid, in the skies, we've got another 36 cancellations in and out of London Heathrow Airport. That's because the airlines have been told to reduce their schedules because of the high winds expected. 26 of those on British Airways, and then the remaining 10 on Aer Lingus, KLM, Lufthansa, and so on. So yet more disruption. The airlines say we're going to try and get people on alternative flights. But really, it's been just a horrible weekend, and there's more to come. And of course, strikes return next Sunday on the West Coast main line.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, they had those on Sunday this week, didn't they?
No, they didn't. They were called off, but it didn't make much difference because the weather was so terrible. They called them off over the last. They called them off last weekend, and that made no difference at all because they called it off so late that the trains couldn't be stood up again. Right. Then they called it off yesterday, but that didn't make much difference for anybody trying to get. So
this is now the new game, isn't it? The new game in town is to pretend you're going to have a strike, call it off at the last minute so it's too late for you to bother going into work and make any difference to the trade, so you can technically say, well, I wasn't on strike.
Well, you could certainly say that, but the strikes...
Are you suggesting there's something else going on?
Well, the unions would say we're on the edge of a breakthrough, and we can't wait to
they would say
get a settlement.
Yeah, well, yes. But thank goodness you're not their spokesman. Let me ask you this, Simon. Would things be any better if we had a third runway at Heathrow? Because that's what Rachel Reeves seems to think, including the rather miraculous idea that having more air traffic would actually reduce the nasty quality of the air. In fact, the air would be cleaner if we had more planes landing at Heathrow.
Right. If you had a third runway, and by the way, you're not going to get one for maybe 7 years, even if Rachel Reeves said on Thursday we're going to start, there isn't going to be a bulldozer turning up at Heathrow on Friday to start work. But suppose you did have a third runway at Heathrow, you would immediately get immense resilience. So you wouldn't need to cancel those 36 flights. You also wouldn't need necessarily to fly around in circles over the home counties before you land. But of course, the thing is, as soon as you got that third runway, the airlines will say, oh, there's a third runway. Look, can we fly some more planes, please? And of course they will. We haven't had really for 70 years any new full-size runways in southeast England. London is the world capital of aviation, and we keep squeezing a cork from a pint pot in quite impressive fashion until it all goes tango uniform, and I'm afraid that's what's happening today.
Yes. Well, it's good to know that some things stay the same, no matter who's in charge of the government. Simon, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Simon Calder there reporting in to us from King's Cross, where they finally sent a train to Scotland.